Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 133, where a podcast talks about pop culture things that interest us. And sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good, good. It's been a little bit. We kind of skipped through January and we're just making it back on the last day here.
Yeah, it feels like a long time. I don't know what it's actually been. Has it been 2 weeks, I guess?
Two, almost three, I think. But
Oh
we
my
had to miss
gosh.
for a very, very good reason.
That's just me slacking. That's what that is. Uh,
Totally. Your life is about Slack right now.
oh my gosh. Yep. Yep. New kiddos is a challenge. Say that.
Yay,
So.
welcome.
Mhm.
Welcome, new
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah, so crazy life events going on, but our show must continue. We'll have a little bit shorter show than normal, but nonetheless, interesting topics to discuss. Really,
Mm-hmm.
the big news of the day is James Gunn and his announcements for the DC universe going forward. So we'll be
Mm-hmm.
getting into that a little bit later. But up top, I just want to let everybody know, yeah, we appreciate a subscribe and a share and a follow anywhere that you can find us, social media things and all that sort of thing. It's much appreciated. And yeah, let's get into some drinks. A lot of people maybe they make it through the early days of child rearing with some drinks. I don't know. Is that a thing? I didn't, but
Probably not the very, very early days, but you
mhm.
get there. You get there.
Yeah,
But if people do, there's plenty to choose from in the latter half of January. Kind of very warming drinks. Also, I noticed a lot that start with the letter B. I don't know if that's a thing, but
hmm,
I was just sort of like my English alliterative
yeah.
brain was like, check this out. But anyway, January 17th, it was both Hot Buttered Rum and Bootleggers Day. On the 21st, it was Baltic Porter Day. Or on the 21st, yeah. On the 24th, it was Beer Can Appreciation Day, which kind of feels like it's more about like cool can artwork, or at least I like to think
Yeah.
so. But hey, whatever floats your boat. It could be just beer out of the can instead of, out of a bottle. On the 25th of January, it was Irish Coffee Day. And then today, January 31st, we have one of my mom's favorite Christmas drinks. And I only know this because she requests it every Christmas, Brandy Alexander Day.
Nice. What
So,
tell me what that is. I know we've talked about what that is before, but
oh
um
gosh.
it's Brandy Alexander. It's like maybe I should make one of these, but because I think I picked up some brandy the other day, like a month
Okay.
ago for some drinks.
Well, I
But
mean, I was going to say you have quite the cocktail book to get through, and I know you've been saying
yeah.
you've been buying a lot of ingredients. Um,
Mhm.
So it is, yeah, it's a brandy-based dessert cocktail. It kind of looks like
Okay.
if you poured brandy over some ice cream, but really what you do is put brandy, creme de cacao, and cream, shake it all together and like pour it out, and it's a nice little frothy guy.
Sounds good. I mean, yeah,
It is good,
little
yeah.
desserty thing, yeah. Mhm.
Yep.
I
But I
feel like
just
someone in a show, I don't know if they made that famous exactly. Maybe it'll come to me at some point, but I feel like someone's that was like their drink in a show, Brandy
Brandy
Alexander.
Alexander.
Yeah,
Hmm.
someday
I
I'll
mean,
think of it.
it. Yeah, it totally could be. It's kind of one of those
Every
cool
once in
like
a while,
throwback drinks. Like, I feel like it was
yeah,
really popular in, like, 60s, 70s kinda,
mhm,
post-meal, y'all gathered for, like, a Brandy Alexander.
yeah, yeah. It's a nice name, and yeah, I just have the feeling it's sort of like the White Russian and Big Lebowski or
Mm,
something somewhere,
right,
something.
right.
So,
Yeah, well, we'll
um,
find it. You and I
are
have brains
you?
for obscure trivia.
Yeah, are you
Mhm.
celebrating any these days? Probably not.
Nope, not yet. Still got
Yeah.
some cool sparkling water. I
Nice.
mean,
All right.
I'm really just drinking it to save the poor can that, like, froze and then unfroze in our whole we need a new fridge debacle.
Yeah.
But,
Oh my
sparkling
gosh.
water, you can never really go wrong.
Um, well, I haven't had a drink honestly for I don't know the last time, so I have not been on my like going through my cocktail book, but I
Sure.
did bring a beer can to appreciate for those that can see.
Nice.
There's
Yeah,
some
that does look
pretty
pretty
fun
cool.
art. I have had this one on the show before, I believe, but so
Mhm.
Blinding Light Show, it's called, and
Okay.
it's an IPA,
Yep.
and there it is.
There it is.
So I know it's good already. Ashley, one of her big things after giving birth was going to be like, I want to have a bitter IPA right away or whatever kind of thing. Well, that didn't happen and didn't, you know, like we just haven't wanted anything. And we need all the energy we can get, really don't need
Mhm.
some sort of suppressant. So
Yep.
I am splitting this can with her. So real
Nice.
partier here. But
Nice.
yeah, it's a beer can worth appreciating because it's really got this sort of paladin looking guy in the sky with a
Mhm.
staff kind of shooting lightning bolts down or something like that. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Oh, I should say for those not what it's War Pigs Brewing, Blinding Light Show, Luminiferous India Pale Ale. So, yeah,
Okay. Well, go you guys, your
good stuff.
first post-babies drink.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what she said she wanted, so, just
Mhm.
might have been a little bit later than she anticipated, but you
Yep.
got there.
Yep. All right. So it's been, as we already discussed, longer than a week. So we've probably had plenty of things happen or television shows we've consumed and stuff in the
Mhm.
interim. What are some of the highlights for you that you've managed to consume?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I've consumed not a diverse range, but just kind of like delve deep into some core things that I had been watching and started two new things. Um, so I made it through 3 episodes of Wednesday. I'm almost finished with that series. I love it. It's so amazing. It's like to anybody left in any corner pocket of the world who hasn't watched it, watch it.
Okay.
Um, and then I watched like Chris and I basically binged like 8 episodes of Ghosts season 2. I had started that in the new year, the second season, and then just realized there were so many available already. So we just kind of like binge caught up on that, and we're in a very hilarious Christmas themed episode right now. So very much
Okay.
enjoying that show. And then I started a couple of new things. I started two very different shows. Um, I started The Last of Us on HBO, which I love how the show right before we kind of took a break, I was like, I don't really know if I'm gonna watch this show unless I have a good reason. And then the show gave me a good reason. So I've
Okay.
watched the first two of that, even though I'm aware that three are out right now. I just haven't quite gotten there. And then I also watched a little bit of a new old throwback. I watched the first episode of Netflix's That 90s Show on a recommendation from Phil. So I did start that just for kind of like a fun comedic balance. And it's not bad. It's not bad.
Okay.
It's yet another like sitcom revival of, an actual
Hmm.
90s show. But it's fun. The first episode uses some cameos very wisely, so I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe we'll stick around. We'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, I heard not I don't know. That doesn't sound appealing to me, honestly. Like it was a thing for a moment in its time, and
Yep.
the '70s decade was fun to explore. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on how they represent the '90s, I guess. Does
Yeah,
it
so far
feel authentic? Or
it's not so much like 90s nostalgia focused. It's just more about like the show nostalgia focused.
okay,
So that's why I
hmm,
feel like I'm going to give it another episode to see how they actually like, move beyond like the exposition and like I said, like the fun character
yeah,
cameos and things like that. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm less convinced about it, but willing to give it one more.
okay,
So,
okay.
And then I did start a new webtoon. I started a couple of new webtoons, some of which I didn't particularly care for, so I don't think I'll be keeping on with them. But one I did purely for the fact that I'm a Shakespeare nerd. It's called Go Away Romeo, and it follows his first infamous paramour, Rosaline, who is the woman he is passionately pursuing right before he meets
Mm,
Juliet. So it
okay.
follows her kind of post, Romeo and Juliet's tragic deaths story. Um, and it's
Oh,
fun. It's
okay.
fun so far.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like she loved Romeo. She had no idea he was like, I mean, because he and Juliet's romance takes place over like a couple of days.
Okay.
So she had basically no idea that he had fallen in love
Mm,
with Juliet. So she's just sort of like hit out of nowhere with Romeo is my secret lover, and suddenly he's dead, and so is my cousin Juliet. This is awful.
right.
So
Huh.
yeah,
How's the
it's
art on
fun.
that?
It's very traditional, but I like it. It's well done.
Okay.
Like there's no
Okay.
like risk taking. It's very like traditional anime style almost
Okay.
like um but I like it. It's got very rich, warm jewel tones. It feels like the colors and the settings feel right for, being set in Verona, Italy. So I
Mhm.
like the kind of essence that it's capturing. So, yeah.
Is it new or new to you
I
to just
believe
start?
both,
Okay.
because there's
Okay.
only like 9 episodes.
Okay.
So, or maybe
Cool.
even less than that. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I've been meaning to get back into a couple more webtoons here.
Mhm.
Um, being a convenient format, and I was just thinking the other day, kind of missing maybe meant to be. I've got a lot to
Yeah.
catch up on that, so
Yeah, for
get back
sure.
into that. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you liked the Last of Us so far.
Mhm.
Um, I've been meaning to watch that too. It just right now we're in a
The
state
first
where I don't
episode is
want to
a
watch.
bear. It's
Really?
an hour and a half. I mean, it's
Oh
long.
yes. We did. We're gonna sit down at one point and watch it, even though we didn't really want to. And then it's like, but it's so long, you know.
It's yeah.
Um, we
It's well
just don't
done,
want
but, like,
to.
it's a commitment.
Yeah, and that's like I'm normally fine with that. It's a kind of
Well,
a
I just
mini
mean it's
movie.
it's it's hard now, obviously, when you're, like, an hour and a half potentially uninterrupted, like,
Yeah.
it's difficult to give up.
Yep. I like, well, we could break it into two or whatever.
Mhm,
The big issue has been we just don't want to watch anything serious. Like
mhm.
anything serious, heavy, or like demanding of our like utmost attention just sounds the worst
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
So I'm hoping after a while to get to it, and maybe we can do like a season breakdown or something like that. So
Sure,
something,
sure.
but
Yeah, depending on how you feel, we could do half and half or a whole, but yeah, I mean, you
yeah.
should definitely get to it at some point, but I totally understand that, like, I cannot do heavy, invested,
Hmm.
just, like, weighty drama, and that's all this is. There's
Yep.
relatively few light moments.
Yep. Well, cool. That's a good variety of things. I
Mhm,
um I've been reading a lot of comics. I have found that to be the medium or the thing that I like to when I'm not sleeping, or trying to sleep, then I'll read some comics because it's just so easy
mhm.
pick up, put down sort of thing.
Sure.
So, couple of them I wanted to talk about. I actually read before we had our kids, though, so kind of
Mhm.
ran through those quickly. This first one is called Overmind. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show or not
You
before,
have, yeah.
but I
I remember
finished
the
that
art.
now. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I talked in detail about it too much. It's very sort of um classic, sort of retro-esque art.
Mhm.
I don't know, sort of Flash Gordon sort of thing or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's on a matte paper and stuff. Um it's it was a good story. I liked it quite a bit. It moved well. It covered themes that I'm interested in, like reliance on technology and AI and mob mentality and all that stuff. So I like that a lot. But there are moments that are unnecessarily exposition heavy,
Mm,
and
mhm.
was really my biggest gripe with it.
Sure.
It's like I just with I've been giving a pass, I realize I have for a long time in comics and then anime a lot too, even some anime I really like. It's like they don't need to have this exposition. They don't need to do this. It does
Mhm,
not You don't need to explain the intricacies of everyone's power all the time. Like
mhm,
let us figure that out over time, or like we'll weave it in, like a little nicer, and we don't need to like bloviates to our opponent what our abilities are, and it
mhm,
really brings down um an anime or a manga. And this doesn't talk about power so much, but there is exposition is trying to get out of the way in a fashion that felt a little sloppy. But
sure.
other than that, I did enjoy it. The art is kind of a fun throwback, even though it's not like nostalgic for me because I was too old for what I would have like grown up with.
Mhm,
But it's written by John Delarose and art by Ms. Crimson. So yeah, that's that. The other thing I read was Sacrament. So
mm,
I talked about this, I think, when I picked it up on the show
yeah.
before, but this I bought the first issue some time ago, read it, enjoyed it, and then it was, I just don't make it to comic book shop very often or whatever. So I bought
Mhm,
the remaining issues digitally
mhm.
to finish reading it. And the art is very unique in here.
Yeah.
It's like at times a little vague, at other times really, really good. Like for instance, you'll see these people's faces are kind of non-distinct, but when you
Mhm.
get up closer,
Sure,
they're really expressive. So
sure.
either way, I enjoy the art in this. It's pretty gruesome and stylized. Um, and I managed to finish it now. It's basically about humanity going to the stars in the future and how we kind of left behind our archaic ways and religion and stuff. Yet
Mm,
in this case, it's survived in certain ways, and though the religion is sort of outlawed, there are priests that travel around and give people their, like accept offerings and give them praise and whatever, blessings and stuff. And so the like empire or whatever encounters a weird thing that appears like a possession. And
mhm,
so, though they don't want to bring aboard some religious priest
mhm.
to potentially deal with it, they kind of have to resort to that. And so it's a fun story, about faith, and the characters are relatively complex. It's just 5 issues. Um, so it's a nice complete sort of story. Yeah, it's by AWA. They do some other fun books, I guess. And Peter Milligan and Marcello Frusin. So Sacrament.
Cool.
That's that.
Kinda sounds like
um
a different version of, what a world would be like, oh my gosh, in Raised by Wolves, where we had, like,
mm,
one very, like, intensely secular society, and there was, like, I mean, that element, like, um, the followers of Saul were, a little bit bigger, not as, like,
yeah,
outcasty, but kind of the same, like, dynamic. There's, like, 2 very different evolutions of faith journeys, it's set in the future,
yeah.
and they clash.
This is sort of flipped from that, because in Raised by Wolves, you have the religion that sort of won out predominantly
Right,
and
right,
like cast out the atheists.
right.
This is the reverse of that. But
Yeah, so
yeah.
very interesting.
Mhm. And the last one I wanted to talk about slash review is one I did read post the babies arriving. So
Mhm,
followed a comic creator Patrick Thomas Parnell for a little while now, and I don't have any of his comics. So I finally picked up Johnny Phantasm.
Mm,
So this it's a
that looks fun.
series, and it was a little confusing of what I should get when or whatever. But this is Johnny Phantasm in the Tales of New Detroit, 1977. So this, to my understanding, is the first like 3 issues.
Okay.
I have to be honest, if I was picking this up in the store and I had no idea who the creator was, I would be hesitant to buy it based off of first flipping through the art. You
Mm.
know, I'm a stickler for the art, and
Yes,
as
you're an
I
art
flip
guy.
through it, yep, it's not something that has been particularly in my style,
Sure.
but it reminded me of some other comics I'd read. Sort of, I've read some like Brian Azzarello comics, 100 Bullets, a little bit of that, and he was on Batman for a bit. There's sort of a stylistic set of choices that this sort of reminded me of, and
Mhm.
so I kind of latched on to that, kind of bringing back that sort of thing. Because so some things I really like this guy, I think is well done,
Mhm.
but I ended up really liking this book, and I've ordered all the other ones that I can now because um, it's just so unique. It's sort of like a Joker. It's like if it was a story following a Joker kind of character, or even like The Mask, maybe something
Mm.
where like
Sure.
kind of a person transforms and isn't in full control of themselves. So there's a backstory that I don't like. It's definitely building upon, and some father issues and stuff like that. But yeah, I've really ended up liking this. Um, a lot of times I'm reading stuff, and it can be a lot of superheroes, or as I said before, things are really exposition heavy or something like that. And this just didn't have that. I thought it was a unique set of characters, a unique set of situations, and yeah, I'm pumped to continue. So
Cool.
yeah,
Glad you ended up liking
yeah,
it. I mean, it's hard once your preferences are, like, so specific. It's hard to get over
hmm
something as major to that kind of story as art is. I mean,
yeah,
art like, the art style is not a small thing to try and, like, move past, but
right.
I'm glad it's, like, going well so far.
Yeah, it shows that it's worth taking that jump sometimes to
Mhm.
like, give something a shot, even when it's
Exactly.
not here. So, that's it. That's my comic stuff that I've been doing. Got a few other ones, but I'll talk about those later when I'm done with them. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, we needed some comic book talk because despite I feel like the slew of announcements today, there was nothing said about DC Comics, which probably not terribly surprising considering like the focus of this, and
hmm
considering probably the very specific job that James Gunn and Peter Safran have been hired to do. But still, there could have
Yep.
been some comic news slipped in there, but nothing doing.
Yep. Absolutely. I wanted to. Sorry, I just wanted to correct because I should have
Mm,
looked this up
sure.
before. I always associate when I talk about 100 Bullets and that Batman run by Brian Azzarello. That's
Mhm.
the that's the writer. So I just to me
Mm.
he always seemed everything I've seen him do was with the same artist, so it's the same art style.
So,
So
sure,
I
in your
think
brain,
the
they're
artist
twined.
is Eduardo Riso. I think that's um whose art I'm
Sure.
referring to here. But anyone that's read those things will get
Well,
what I'm
no.
saying there, what that looks like. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I didn't expect Gunn to come out and say anything, but that would make sense in a way because he's talking about
His love for
how
comics.
everything should be together and
Mhm.
unified. Does that not include the comic book space? It's movies, TV, cartoons.
Yeah, yeah. So I found his announcement very interesting in that, like you said, he was very much about unity, which I really appreciate in some spaces. Like, yes, there should be like this. overarching tie together. Characters or actors who play characters in TV shows should play them in movies, like, you know, like keeping it all very continuous. Um, but yet we have an announcement about DC Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, love the title. But then we also have DC Elseworlds, which is like the other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
he's talking
yes,
about
yes.
Unity, but at the same time, he's like, "But this other, like, stuff I couldn't fit in my nice little neat
Mhm.
box. I'm just gonna call it Elseworlds," which is also a cool title. I love the title, but doesn't take away from the point
So
that it's the other stuff.
let me let me ask before we get into it, let me ask up front, what would if James Gunn came out today and he was gonna I'm gonna reveal my upcoming plan for the DC
Yeah,
universe, what would have been a satisfying answer for you? Like what would in your head, if you're like, okay, a win for him coming
sure.
out, what would be the gist of him, what will you present?
I mean, I think he did a very solid job, with a lot of the things that he presented today, or yesterday technically, but also today to the larger world. Um, so like, he was very hyped up about the 4 movies that are coming out this year. Shazam, Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman. He was like, we're not doing anything with those properties. We're really hyped up on those. Like, we think they're great movies. We want to keep them. There's potential for characters to continue from there, um, which is the first, like, you know, character carryover announcement that we've gotten in that way, of properties that, like, had already been in production before him. I mean, I know we have Robert Pattinson as Batman, but that second movie hadn't actually been in production or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that was cool that he was just like, we're gonna like stand behind those 100%, maybe keep those going forward. That's just not the properties we're focused on right now. I think that maybe two major kind of missteps for me are one, putting Robert Pattinson's Batman in the Elseworlds. I think
Okay.
that is your, like, biggest, hottest, most acclaimed property right now, and to put it in the, like, other box just because you're not the one writing it, well, I guess that's how it feels, but I don't know
Yeah.
that that was his decision. Um, Feels dumb. It feels like his Batman property, The Brave and the Bold, could have been in the Elseworlds. Like,
Okay.
those 2 to me, I am very adamant that they should have flip-flopped, and Reeves' Batman should have been, like, kind of a main focus.
Are you okay with there being 2 Batmans concurrently then?
I mean, it feels like I have to be, because these Elseworlds are going to be 2 concurrent Batmans, 2 concurrent Jokers, 2 concurrent Supermans. Like, those are some big names to have just continue to be concurrent if that's your goal. I mean, I kind of wish that, like, we could have just, like, cut those and, like, focused on other stuff, but if you're going to do this, like, main and other, like, that to me overall is a mistake. But if you were
Mhm.
going to do this, if this is how you're going to, like, justify some things, then you needed to switch some things around.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna be too like, it's easy for me to say you should done this, shouldn't done that, shouldn't,
Sure.
because you could go in a million routes.
Sure.
There are dozens of options in which you could handle this whole thing. What was weird to me was right off the bat, he talks about how we're going to bring everything together, everything is unified, and almost in the next breath, except anything that's not, we're calling this. It's like, what?
Yes.
How is this different now? How is
Right.
this different? I understand. So maybe you're overseeing a larger story more. You're overseeing the other projects to make sure they fit in what you're trying to do overall or
Mhm.
something. But in terms of most of what we've got, at least on the movie front, they've all fit together. All the
Mhm.
Snyder stuff, we go Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Justice League, Aquaman, 2 Wonder Woman movies, Shazam. All these things can theoretically fit together in the same
Mhm.
universe, or explicitly do. And then there's a couple things to the side, like Doom Patrol, you know.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. How different is this now,
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it was very interesting. Like you said, that was what I picked up on too, like the one big chapter 1 except for the Elseworlds. Um,
mhm.
so yeah, so it's a very weird, like, I feel like everything that's in chapter 1, he was mentioning, how like movies and TV are going to work together, and I don't know if he's maybe trying to differentiate from Marvel when Marvel was like, "Hey, we have our like Disney Plus series, but they're just like side things. They're not integral to like understanding like the movie plots, so you can just like watch these and have fun for extra content." And he's like, "No, you better watch our TV because I think he said lanterns. I
Yeah, that's a
think
show.
I think that one he said was gonna be crucial to
Hmm.
setting up, like, a major plot point that was gonna carry into a bunch of the movies. I'm pretty sure it was lanterns. I'm second guessing myself now that I'm, like, reading through the list again, but I think
Sure.
it was lanterns or maybe Booster Gold. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I think it was lanterns, but anyway, sorry.
So, do you believe? I mean, is he just going to, once Shazam, Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman are out, be like, yeah, we're not sticking with that? Or do you think they're really like, maybe they'll continue on with those?
I think he's bought himself a bunch of time because they're clearly not gonna be moving forward with any of those properties, like, work on any of those properties. So he's bought himself a bunch of time to decide.
Hmm.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, just
Yeah.
by saying, like, "We're leaving the door open, like, they might continue in the future or, like, they might appear in some other property, but this is what I'm releasing." He's just stalling, and I think probably giving himself a break from some very negative press over his house cleaning.
Sure. Yeah. Um, I mean, it just shocks a person that, like, we're starting this off and incorporating because they work and tie in nicely to our world here.
Mhm.
We're because we've debated plenty what's going to happen to Ezra Miller here, but then he himself
Yeah.
says how the Flash is a good, like, way to wipe everything clean.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's
Yeah. I would say
yeah,
if I was
yeah,
reading between the lines, these characters aren't gonna continue because they're not a focus, they're not part of his work. I mean, some of these movies and TV shows aren't coming out for, like, another 2 years. So
yeah,
it'll be a nice way for him to, like, distance himself and then at some point, just kind of, like, drop in those announcements. Because Jason Momoa isn't gonna just, like, hang around for years waiting to see if he's gonna be Aquaman again.
yeah. People
So,
are talking like he might be Lobo,
yeah,
which is
which I would
a
be
much
cool
better
with.
fit for him, honestly. Yeah.
I would be cool with
So,
that. So, yeah, so I feel like James Gunn isn't interested in many of these franchises. I feel like he's not interested in these actors. He's talked endlessly about rebooting young. So I just don't feel like, especially Zachary Levi and Jason Momoa are going to be carrying on as those title characters.
rebooting young, kind of like our Batman currently is.
Right? Oh my god, that made me crazy when he was like, "We're
Just
gonna like reboot Superman and Batman for younger," and I was like, "How much younger than Pattinson do you want?
yeah.
You want a
Are we gonna
teenager?"
have we gonna have two 35-year-old Batmans that we're gonna have? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
I
because
did.
which is go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, just that, yeah, the Batman thing is weird because the Brave and the Bold, they're calling it, and it's featuring Bruce Wayne and then his son Damian Wayne for Robin.
Mhm.
So I don't know how young exactly you want to have
Batman.
Bruce be, yeah,
Mhm.
when you're gonna be dealing with your nearing teenage year old son.
Right.
It seems like a story to tell a little bit later.
Yes. Yes, it does. I mean, we didn't get a date on that one, so that could be at
Mhm.
the latter end of the slate, but yeah.
And
They're gonna have to space it out at least somewhat from I mean, the Batman Part 2 has a very definite 2025 release date,
yeah,
so Brave and the Bold either
which is a
needs to
long
happen,
time.
like yeah, it is a long time. So the Brave and the Bold either needs to happen, like, right now, or it's gonna be, like, 2028 or 2027. It's gotta
They're
be spaced out
yeah. They're gonna
'cause you
compete against themselves.
they are, which is
They're
stupid.
gonna head to head our own Batmans.
It's stupid.
Mhm.
It feels a little it's hard not to feel a little, like, about his ego and a little bit about his
Yes.
hubris, um, that he couldn't let that one go,
Mhm.
you know? I know he's, like, very adamant about being like, "Oh, it's not the Gunverse, and it's not, my show or whatever," but it kinda feels like it is.
Mhm.
Kinda feels
Yeah.
like it is.
Because a bunch of these things sound right exactly what he would do, like Waller, a
Mhm.
Peacemaker spinoff. I can't think of a thing I wanna watch less hardly. I hate Amanda Waller.
I
I
I
mean,
figured
she
you
does
might
a
hate it.
a great job being a terrible person.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's
I will take Viola Davis on my screen any way she wants to come at me, but yeah, what are you gonna do with this character?
oh my god, because I don't wanna
She's a
watch her. In the Suicide Squad, one of the best parts of the movie was when one of her workers, clobbed her over the head with something,
in the face,
knocked her
yeah.
out. Yeah.
She's to me a great periphery character. So if you get farther in Peacemaker, she comes back and we learn some very interesting things about her relationships to other characters, and I like learning about her on the periphery of shows about other people. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure,
Like I
sure.
like her like kind of like a twisty evil version of Nick Fury. Like, I don't want a
Mhm.
Nick Fury, like, show. I like him in the doses I get him,
Okay,
so
okay. So what of this, what do you love, if anything, and what do you hate? Like, what really stands out, as like, "Oh my god, this sounds like a great idea," or "This I
sure,
really could not care about."
sure. So I'm interested in Paradise Lost. First of all, I love the title. I also love this whole, like, diving into Themyscira, like, this Game of Thrones style power play, it sounds like a cool concept to me, so
Okay,
I'm very interested in that show. I'm interested in potentially interested in both Lanterns and the Authority,
okay,
for very different reasons. I feel like Lanterns would be a nice way to give, like, Green Lantern not his own show, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, the character gets in there, but it's really like a whole cast procedural type thing, but like a superhero procedural.
sure.
So I dig that. I dig the concept and the idea of the Authority, even though I don't really know, like, too much about it.
Mhm.
And then the last thing I really dig is Swamp Thing. Just getting into, like, a little
Okay,
bit dipping your toe into some horror. I like
sure.
that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. If they use Swamp Thing to kind of, start building up a Justice League Dark, because I thought it was interesting we don't hear anything about that
Mhm.
kind of thing, because for a long time they were talking about getting another
Right.
Constantine movie dealt with and all that, but, or even a Justice League Dark movie itself, but yeah, that would
Mhm.
be interesting there.
How about
Um,
you? Anything you're I mean, I am excited for the Batman Part 2.
right.
It's hard to be as excited as I was now knowing it's like a other property and potentially
Mm,
the only other one. Um,
mm,
he was very clear about stating that as well, so I'm
yeah.
less
I
enthused.
I hope that gets. I mean, I hope that gets a trilogy. I hope they manage to do their
I
trilogy
hope
of
so too.
Batman. You know.
I hope so too.
Um, I so I need to know more about lanterns, but I think that lanterns is a good one. I think that would
Mhm,
be sounds interesting. There, I think there's a lot to deal to a lot of fun you could have with the Green Lantern Corps, or with the Lantern Corps, that we haven't really seen too much of before, or at least not in a way that people receive positively. And
oh, poor Ryan Reynolds. He's never gonna live that
yeah,
down. Good thing he has a sense of humor about it.
right. And then the Authority, I think it's a weird choice to start off with here. It's
Mhm,
very odd because I think that has the potential to be the best out of these things because it
mhm,
feels the most ready and primed for James Gunn. It's a thing that most people don't know much about. He's going to feel really free to change it to his, bend it to his will, to whatever he
mhm,
wants, and he'll mold something really fun out of
mhm,
it. The question will be, does anyone care about it enough, because yes, I was listening to some people talk about this earlier today, and they're like, with Guardians of the Galaxy, when he did that, he had the added like benefit of Marvel having built up to that point. It built an
mhm,
audience where I'm going to see every Marvel movie. So they had that worked in. We saw how that didn't work out with the Suicide Squad, where
mhm,
DC didn't have that automatic, I must watch all the things,
mhm.
and then it underperformed. Now,
Right.
I think it made up some of that on the streaming side of things. I don't know for sure, but either way, like it was, though it was a really fun movie, it didn't have that built-in for sure audience. So
Right.
if like Superman Legacy launches and then the Author and is just okay, are people going to be
Who's
clamoring to
gonna
go
yeah,
see the Authority,
who's gonna see the
even if that's a
authority? Yep.
great one? Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think
Yep.
this is really I don't know. I don't know what I should have expected, but this sounds naive to lay this all out. You don't
Mhm.
have scripts. You don't have people attached to a lot of things. You don't have dates. It's just like here's a list of what we want to do, the ideas we have.
Yep.
Will even all of this get made? What if we have three
Yeah.
flops in a row and then they're just like, okay, we can't keep funding this. And you
Mhm.
have all these things that are like lined up.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about this because there's a very awkward gap, where we have this year, 2023, we have the movies that are already made, all being released. So Shazam, Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman, I think, closes out the year in December. And then we have 2 other firm dates for 2025, which is Superman Legacy and The Batman Part 2. That's an entire 2024 that has nothing potentially in it right now.
Mhm.
I know that they announced that Creature Commandos and Waller were going to be the first, like, TV things that they were gonna do. So I don't know if
Okay.
those are supposed to so I'm guessing those are gonna be in 2024. But in my brain, I'm just sort of screaming like, "That can't be all of your 2024 plans, right?"
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Maybe
Like,
Joker. Maybe Joker.
and maybe Joker, maybe Joker.
Mhm.
I'll get more of the Elseworlds, kind of out of the way and ease that transition to 2025, and then you've bought yourself till 2026.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I
maybe.
mean,
That's a
it
long, long game though to be
I
playing.
think it might be nice. It might if the Flash really kind of resets things and people enjoy that
Mhm.
movie, so they are looking for more from DC. It
Right.
gives them a little breathing time to know that something new is coming. You wanting more, and then it gives them a whole year to really ramp up uh, promotion. Really get ready for, putting out the ads, like walking out the person that's cast as Superman,
Mhm.
taking their time. Like they can do a whole big press thing spaced out nicely in 2024. And then,
Mhm.
Super Bowl ad, whatever. all that sort of
Mhm.
thing. So people are really ready for, you know, they can gauge the waters with it or whatever, but really ready for when Superman actually launches in 2025.
Mhm.
So I think that might work out, if the Flash is actually a satisfying movie that people go see.
Right. Right. This year is gonna be, I mean, James Gunn and Peter Safran are really betting on and piggybacking off of hopeful success from the work of other writers, directors, creators to
Mhm.
launch into this so that people will actually care.
Yep. Yep.
So, I don't know. I don't know. I
I
don't
you
know.
know,
I
if it
don't know
was
what to think
me,
about it.
I think I would have let the Batman movies continue, and in the
Mhm.
meantime, I'd work on doing like a trilogy of Green Lantern movies. Like, let's just get off of Earth. Let's leave Earth. Let's go into outer space, kind of like we
Mm,
would do with Guardians or something. Let's live somewhere
mhm,
else, and let's
mhm,
understand the Lantern Corps and meet new characters there. And
mhm,
Alan just put in the chat. I was gonna get there. Like, use that to kind of introduce Martian Manhunter. We can get the Lobo appearance if we want. Let's deal with outer
mhm,
space and just have this for a while, you know.
mhm.
And then Batman will be going as well. You can say that's part of the same world, but that's on Earth, you know, that's taking place then.
Right. Right.
And then, you know, you can have your other cartoons or something like that if you want to tie those in. But as far as movies and stuff, let's not overload it. Let's work on focusing and getting a good script where we really want to go. What
Mhm,
threat do we want to encounter out in the cosmos, that
mhm.
maybe gets brought to Earth, that we then need an excuse to introduce someone else as well? And
Right.
just sort of build from there, but see how that goes. I think
Sure.
that's what I would have done. So, but
I like it.
yeah.
'Cause like I said, I just don't think wasting your best property right now is a smart move.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and like the Joker really did incredibly well with such a low budget. The
it
Joker
did,
blew
it
up.
did,
The
it did.
Batman did well enough, you
I
know.
feel like Joker's just been a little bit more of a hot second, so I do forget about it, but
Yes.
you're right, it did do very well.
Yeah, and then you just you could let other people, you know, we don't need to worry about right now,
Mhm.
you know, who's going to be Superman, Henry Cavill or not, and Gal Gadot, and just like
Yeah.
give all that stuff a breather, and we can think about it, and you can work out contracts and all that stuff. And
Yeah, 2 kind of notes on that. One, I did appreciate the apology by James Gunn for Henry Cavill basically just getting, like, dicked around. I
mm,
did appreciate that, like, acknowledgement of, like, he got a raw deal. It was
mhm,
he caveated it a little by being like, "It wasn't me," but at least just, like, acknowledging that that was, like, shit of him to just, like, be like, "I'm back. No, I'm not. Just kidding. I don't know. What
right.
the hell?" Like, that was a shitty situation. Um,
Yep.
so I did appreciate that. And then to your, like, we could explore other worlds. I also feel like that would be a great testing the waters on, like, something and taking a chance on something like Paradise Lost because Themyscira is, like, in the world, but out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not
Like,
connected really, yeah.
you could still do something there too that's interesting. Because
Yep.
I like I said, I'm looking forward to Paradise Lost, because that's definitely set, like, a different time, pre-Wonder Woman, um, and obviously, like, the land is not exactly of Earth, so they're kind of like a whole step out of time, so that could be really fun too, to just, like, play with these, like, very different, like you said, different properties, take a breather from, like, regular Earth superhero matters
Yeah.
and just, like, delve into other things and
Yep.
let the other ones that are already being made go.
Mhm. Well, we're gonna keep hearing more and more about this. It's just getting going. Hollywood
Mhm.
Reporter has more comments from him, from Gunn, that is,
Sure.
saying he people previously in charge really took a piecemeal approach to their IP. Um, history of DC is pretty messed up. It was really effed up. No one was minding the mint. They were giving away IP like they were party
Mhm.
favors. Any creator who smiled at them. So the Arrowverse, there was the DCEU split between Whedon and then the Snyderverse, and then there's the Superman and Lois, and all these different stuff with CW and whatever. It just got to be a
Mhm.
mess. So he is trying to clean that up, anyways. So
Yes.
well,
Yeah. I mean, he is trying to clean it up. Like I said, I do appreciate the idea of continuity. I'm a little worried about it in some places. Like this first Creature Commandos TV show that is going to be a cartoon. And then he was like, we're going to have voice actors, but we're also looking for actors who could play live action versions of those. And I
yeah,
was like, yikes. Like, I don't
yeah,
tend to, I mean, we both, I know, don't tend to love the like crossing mediums. Um,
mhm,
so I wasn't totally, I was very thrilled with like the idea of a cartoon. But then I wasn't super as thrilled about like a live action, even if it's just like a couple moments adaptation
okay,
of that.
yep. Well,
So
it
we'll
was a fun
see.
little surprise to get this announcement, this reveal, and all this. So certainly
And
plenty
it
to
was
talk about.
quite, I mean, it's quite a number of titles.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
to his credit, he could have just been like, here's like 3 things we're gonna do, or like, 3, 4 plans we have in the
Mhm.
near future. Stay tuned for more. But
Yeah.
he laid out a little bit of a bigger plan.
We shall see. It'll be exciting
Yep.
to follow DC as we go forward. Otherwise, that'll be it from us for this
Mhm.
shorter than average episode. And
Mhm.
hope you liked it. Make sure that you please follow, like, share, subscribe, comment if you have your own thoughts on the DC universe going forward. Please let us know on all the socials, whether that's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, yeah, Twitch, here on Twitch, whatever.
Mhm.
Please leave us a review, especially on a podcast directory of your choice if you're into that. Video versions are available on Spotify. Killing the Flower is the ones responsible for our theme song, so you should check them out on YouTube, music services like Apple and Spotify, and Instagram. If you're interested in getting Johnny Phantasm or anything from that creator, go to Riot Press. Riot Press is the website for them. And I've been in the evenings when feeding the babies, just with the sound off, especially or whatever. Our friend Melissa has been streaming Dead by
Mhm.
Daylight on Twitch. So that's MJ Honeybee. Yeah, MJ Honeybee. Um, Go ahead and check her out on Twitch. Give her a follow, and that would I'm sure she'd appreciate it. Join the hive, as she'd say. So
I love it.
yeah. Anyways, that'll be it from us. That's Popcast on the Rocks, episode 133. Andrea, thanks once again for joining me.
Of course. As always, cheers, everybody.